not be possible. Also shouting out to Ashley's Lemonade, who's over there to my left, and JB Wood-Fired Pizza. Also, guys, if you make a donation of $5 to my right, you can get a cookie courtesy of Blaze Bakery, and you can be entered into a draw. I'll tell you about that draw afterwards, but if you buy a cookie, you're automatically entered into this draw. Also, the $5 that you donate by getting that cookie will go to the Women's Resort Center. So once again, guys, welcome. Hold on a second. Everybody's doing their own thing. When it comes to the front, up top. If you happen to be in person for International Women's Day 2022 at City Hall, I want everybody to make some noise! Hold on, we're going to do it one more time. If you're excited to be outside in front of City Hall for International Women's Day 2022, one more time, I want you to make some noise. And I want you to assume the position, because today we are going to aim to break the bias. So ladies and gentlemen, break the bias for me. Yes! Assume the position.
Being let out, thank you, sir. 2022, we welcome International Women's Day Committee to City Hall in celebration of women every day, not just today. Thank you. With the theme of break the bias. And now, for the official welcome, let's welcome to the podium the Right Worshipful Charles R. Gosling, J.P., Mayor of the City of Hamilton.
Thank you. Thank you, Town Crier. Good afternoon. Deputy Governor Miss Alison Crockett, Premier the Honourable E. David Burt, JPMP, the Minister of National Security Ms. Renee Ming, JPMP, event organisers, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the members and staff of the City of Hamilton, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the steps of City Hall as we recognise International Women's Day not only here in Bermuda, but around the world. Now, I'm certain that the last thing that you need for me to do today is to mansplain the importance of today and where in the last year we have been successful and where some of us have not. But what I will mention is that my father died when I was almost 11 years old, so I know the challenges of a woman raising a family alone. Most of my working life was spent under the leadership of a female cousin, and I've experienced the assumptions people make when we stood side by side of man boss, female not so boss. I know the social segregation that takes place, the locker room divide. I've been married for 30 plus years, so I also know the challenges women have in the workplace earning percentages of what their male counterpart would earn. Now this is on our doorstep. Look elsewhere in the world and the gap becomes a chasm. The basic right of life, education, public or religious office, driving a car, or even ironically, with the performance that we've just had, ironically even playing ceremonial drums are excluded from women. Now, alternatively, a world free of bias, stereotypes and discrimination, a world diverse, equitable and inclusive, a world where difference is valued and celebrated. Well, women's equality has to be the cornerstone of this for this to actually become a reality. So I applaud and I thank the local organizers, the Bermuda IWD Committee, for celebrating and recognizing the contributions of women, and it is my hope that one day when we refer to gender equality or gender inequality, that it is in historic terms and not in terms of today. So I look forward to celebrating this year's Women of the Year, which will be announced shortly, and collectively we can still all hashtag break the bias. So again, welcome to City Hall, welcome to Hamilton, Bermuda at its best. Thank you all.
Break the bias.
Thank you so much, Mayor. How's everybody feeling? Okay, listen. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to be outside at an event. For the last 2 years, we haven't been able to have it like this, so this is absolutely amazing to be able to do. So I want you to celebrate. This is a time for us to celebrate as women. So welcome once again to International Women's Day 2022. All right. I'm going to get you there. Don't worry. I'm going to get by the end of today. I'm going to get there. They're going to want to enjoy this sunshine just like I am. But right now, I'd like to introduce to you some absolutely amazing women, Wendy Percy and Katarina Hoskins, who are the chairpersons of International Women's Day for Bermuda. Put your hands together.
Happy International Women's Day, Bermuda! As we stand today in solidarity of women globally, we would like to take a moment and ask all of you, please, to pause, reflect, and pray for the people of Ukraine. For many of us in the international business community here in Bermuda, we are part of a larger global company. At Willis, we have an office of 20 employees in Ukraine. Many in the Bermuda community have been asking, how can we support those impacted? I encourage all of you working for global companies to utilize your matching gifts program, as this can increase, help your financial donations for disaster relief and healthcare.
As we continue to focus on celebrating women's achievements and raising awareness for bias, along with taking action for improving gender equality, we also want to take time to recognize the impact that the pandemic has had on women. Many women have experienced fatigue. They have taken on the weight of working from home with added workspace responsibilities while homeschooling their children. Some are working on the front line or have experienced job loss as a result of the pandemic's impact on the economy, also managing their households. Have you heard of the expression, the shadow pandemic? It refers to the impact of COVID-19 and the sharp rise in domestic violence, particularly towards women and girls. Violence against women and girls is a human rights violation. 1 in 3 women worldwide will experience physical or sexual violence in their life. We must work together to support gender equality and prioritize addressing violence against women and girls in Bermuda for the health of our community, our men, women, and children. As members of the Bermuda community, we can access support and guidance to understand our rights and responsibilities to create equitable realities for women and girls. Resources include the Human Rights Commission, the Women's Resource Center, the Center Against Abuse, employers' member groups, health providers, providers, our unions, and our respective government representatives. We're so fortunate to be free to access and engage and to learn more, and I encourage all of you to exercise your right and knowledge, and together we can take action to break the bias. But today we want to encourage all women to take time and celebrate yourself. Whether you spend the day with your colleagues or read a book on the beach by yourself, meditate and take a deep breath. Or take a selfie in front of our flower wall. It is okay to take time for yourself and to reset and rejuvenate. This brings me to the award ceremony. The purpose of the Woman of the Year award is to recognize an individual who has distinguished herself in our communities through an organization, her profession, and her community service. The nominees are women who are leaders in their field, who inspire others, and who make a difference to our community, whose achievements positively influence the changing social, environmental, or business landscape and make them leaders in their field. So this year's award winner ticks many boxes.
I feel like we need a drum roll here. She's a Bermudian. She was valedictorian of Warwick Academy's class of 2008 and won the 2008 Bank of Bermuda Foundation Sir Henry Tucker Undergraduate Scholarship. She received her Bachelor of Science Honors degree in Medical Biochemistry from the University of Leicester in 2011. She was then awarded the 2011 Sir Arthur Dudley Sperling Butterfield Postgraduate Scholarship to complete her Doctor of Philosophy in Biochemistry, also at the University of Leicester in 2015. In appreciation of the investment Bermuda made into her education, she founded the Bermuda Principles Foundation, BPF, in 2016 to make a worthwhile contribution to Bermudian society in both the education and science tourism sector. In 2015, she became the youngest full-time lecturer in biomedical and medical sciences at De Montfort University in the UK. In November 2018, she went back into full-time research, working as a research scientist within the Oxford Genomics Center at the University of Oxford. In April 2020, called by the Bermuda government, she came back to Bermuda to expand testing capacity for COVID-19. She was successful in creating the new government lab, MDL, which allowed for wider community testing, opening back up the economy, and reopening of the airport and tourism sector. For this work, she was granted a Queen's Certificate and Badge of Honor in November 2020, and for her contribution to the Bermuda pandemic response. She held the post of Science Advisor to the Premier and Laboratory Director of MDL until January 2022. Currently, she is focused on ensuring Bermuda's science reputation is sustained beyond COVID-19 and that the research culture the pandemic has fostered amongst healthcare professionals and within the general public is harnessed for a healthier Bermuda of the future. It is Katarina and my great pleasure to announce this year's Woman of the Year, Dr. Karika Weldon.
Good afternoon, Bermuda! It feels really nice to be outside. I I have to say it was a bit emotional hearing all that, to be honest. It kind of feels like a whirlwind. I'm sure you can agree it's been something of the last 2 years, but we've made it through. And you know I'm a scientist, so I have to say, when it comes to women, the only difference genetically between women and men is 1 out of 46 chromosomes. That's it. You know I had to. We have 2 X's and they have an X and a Y, and that's it. So there's no basis for any bias, any discrimination, any difference in pay, any difference in expectation in terms of what we can do. There's no difference. There's no basis for it. And I know we always want to say, you know, we want to pull up our women and inspire them to do better. We are better. We have done it already. We've proven that. The amount of women leaders during this pandemic in Bermuda, I think may even outweigh the men. We have been in leadership positions to get us through this, and that is just who we are. I think another thing that I want to touch on is we are emotional, right? That's fine. I know I'm very emotional, but it translates into our passion and to what drives us. It's not a tool to be used against us. It's a tool that helps us to do what we need to do. And I know sometimes we want to be able to put everyone else first, and we feel like we have to put our children and our family and our colleagues and everyone else before us. But we cannot keep going if we don't take care of ourselves. Okay? So self-care, I know, is another theme of this International Women's Day. Make sure you take care of yourself, your health, your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, everything. Because we can't keep giving as we want to if we're burnt out. So happy and cheerful, Bermudaful International Women's Day from me. Thank you so much.
And now we have Tina Law from the Women's Resource Center giving us a little update on what they were doing and how the Women's Resource Centers have been doing in the last 2 years.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone, and happy International Women's Day. The Women's Resource Center is thrilled to once again to be a part of this awesome event. Thank you to the entire International Women's Day Committee for supporting us over the last 7 years. It has been a pleasure to partner with such amazing and like-minded women. The Women's Resource Center is committed to supporting women facing life's challenges. We provide support services, training and education, confidential counseling, and appropriate referrals to women from all walks of life. We aim to help to instill in women the self-respect, self-determination, and leadership qualities that will guide them towards realizing their potential. And we work to promote gender equality by advocating for social change that eradicates injustices, inequalities, and sexism against women. The impact of COVID-19 has been tremendous in our community. Over the past 2 years, we have had to pivot to become an emergency response agency. During COVID-19, we raised funding, coordinated and distributed over 300,000 and growing to purchase and distribute grocery vouchers for over 3,000 families. That's probably 4 now. We have also seen a major increase in demand for counseling support services by 54%. And we are still seeing the residual effects of the trauma caused by the pandemic. Thanks to the gracious funding and support provided by HSBC, Women's Resource Center, and the newly opened and partially occupied Transformational Living Center, get the opportunity to impart in the lives of women and their children by participating in the Transformational Support Services program. A program aimed to help underserved women to attain gainful employment and provide stability for themselves and their family. The process includes life skills training, empowerment in education, job training, employable skills development, and their transitioning and ongoing support. this year's theme, Break the Bias, truly encompasses the work that we do at WRC. We have seen firsthand how women have weathered the COVID-19 pandemic. It has emphasized the biases that women have faced for years. Such women who are overlooked for promotion at work, fear of her responsibility to homeschool her children, attend Zoom meetings, and after-school activities. This, they feel, will prevent them from meeting their responsibilities at work. Who said we cannot do both? Break the bias. Women with 2 to 3 or more children being ridiculed by employers and other social entities when asked for overtime or extra support because they cannot afford their bills with a single-parent household salary. Break the bias. Women who are overlooked for employment because they are a mother. In fact, women who are employed full-time are now working a double shift. They are 1.5 times more likely than fathers to be spending an additional 3 or more hours per day on household and child care. Break the bias. And for single moms who make up to 80% of single-family headed households in Bermuda, the challenges are even greater. Single mothers are more likely than other parents to do all the housework and child care in their household. And they are also more likely to say that financial insecurity is one of their top concerns during the pandemic. Nonetheless, the pandemic has highlighted the biases of unreasonable performance standards, harsher judgment for mistakes, and penalties for being mothers during a time when the world is facing a crisis. What can you do to break the bias? I need you to repeat after me. Do exactly as I do. I choose to break the bias by promoting gender equality, advocating for social change that eradicates injustices, inequalities, and sexism against women. Break the bias. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katina Laws. And ladies, I'm going to ask everybody, I know you're all sitting down and I know it's hot outside, but I'm going to ask everybody if they can stand up. Everybody stand up. Everybody that's here, I'm going to ask Bill, the photographer did to take a picture of this moment, because I'm going to ask everybody that's here to stand up and do the stands with me. Because we're all going to stand here right now, men and women and children, and we are going to make a pledge that we intend on breaking the bias. Ladies, you are doing it. You are doing it well. Dr. Wellman, congratulations. Corona, congratulations. Ladies, you are to be celebrated. Minister, you are to be celebrated. Every single woman here, no matter what your positioning is, no matter what your title is, you are special. And we are going to break the bias. We are going to move forward. And we're going to move forward stronger together. It's not just about us women, you know. It's about the men also standing with us to ensure that this happens. We have the premier as the leader of the country, and he's going to stand in the stands with us. So right now, everybody, 1, 2, 3, break the bias! Stand like that for 5 seconds so we can get a picture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.